August is National Black Business Month, a time to observe and highlight the importance of African American businesses in the Black community and our national economy. This celebration also creates awareness for the policy issues affecting African American entrepreneurship. Here to discuss inclusivity and how it should be encouraged and celebrated in the workplace is the owner and founder of Dark Beauty Healing. We have Wilma Mae Basta. Hi, Wilma.
Hi, how are you?
Wilma, tell us, what does it mean to be diverse and inclusive?
I think that for many companies, the CEOs and also the HR managers, they need to go beyond the resume. Everyone finesses their resumes, and so basically, I think that it's up to employers to actually give people a chance, because a lot of Black and Brown communities don't necessarily have the same opportunities or access to the same levels of education. They do as best they can. And I think that that's one of the first steps to being diverse, is to actually go beyond the resume, actually speak to a person, actually give someone a chance. They may actually have the education, but a lot of times people will discriminate based on their names. So just bring them in, speak to them, see an opportunity. People are actually more talented than they give credit for.
And what can companies do to ensure that everyone will feel represented in their workplace?
I think that employers, HR managers, they need to be empathetic and action orientated. I think that they need to do the two together. It's not just take a step into someone else's shoes. It's more than that. It's actually to figure out what are the actions to take where we understand the people that work for us and the challenges that they face in their life, and what can we do to be there to support them. I think we have to move on from this sort of customer is always right way of thinking, that in fact, if you don't have happy employees and you don't understand and support them and pay more than just lip service to it, then you can't have happy customers. And I think that there has to be a balance. So I think that's one of the ways that you can actually have employees feel represented in the workplace.
What about some ways that they can encourage an inclusive environment when they're hiring and screening and searching for job candidates?
So there's always been talk about the fact that there's not enough pipeline. There's not enough diversity in the pipeline of talent that comes through. And as a Black woman, and I know a lot of other Black women, I see all the talent. Like, I know where all the talent lies, and so I don't buy into that. I think that I think it's important for employers to actually to go and be in those communities and actually go and support those communities, make alliances with the HBCU institutions across America, actually do things within the different universities and even high schools, so that you can help not only to nurture that talent, but actually to make sure that you are connected to those pipelines. They exist.
Well, we've seen a lot of companies start these conversations around diversity, even acknowledging where they have maybe fallen short on this issue. Is that a good thing?
So I think that the acknowledgement is one thing, but actually taking a pause and thinking about how can we address this both internally and externally. Usually in many companies, and we're seeing companies get dragged in the media every day. And there's a lot of skepticism around the sort of performative actions that we've seen online thus far. What are companies really doing to make a change? And I think that they need to take a very long, cold, hard look at who they are and what their brand values are, and are they living them internally within the company? And if they aren't, how can they actually bring the key stakeholders from senior management on down to the shop floor assistants to actually help them take those steps forward? And I think that that's one of the first steps that companies can take in terms of changing the dynamics around inclusivity and diversity.
Well, Wilma, one of the steps some businesses are taking is to have diversity and inclusion training. Is that the way to go? And if they do decide to do that, who should be leading?
So diversity and inclusion training has been around for some time now. And we're still seeing companies that have, diversity managers, and they're still having problems internally. And so I think that there needs to be a more holistic approach, right? It's you look at a training video and it tells you, and are people really connected? Do they really understand? Are they being taught how to be empathetic to their coworkers who might identify as LGBTQ plus? or might be from a minority background and they have a different experience. So I don't think that just having diversity and inclusion training is necessarily the answer. I think there has to be a more holistic approach. And I think some companies right now are starting to take those steps that actually look at it from a lot more, from several different perspectives.
And one of the other issues that we hear about too is this wage gap between racial groups. How can employers start to close that? Tough questions, Wilma.
I'm not being well, actually, it's not rocket science, right? You know, the CEO of a company, the CFO, they know how much people are getting paid. You just have to look at the spreadsheet, and you have to actually make sure from a senior level that people have the same opportunities to advance within the company, and that their scale of pay is fair. I don't think that is a hard thing to do, and I think they have to actually ask themselves: are they a fair employer? And if that person if it isn't about race or gender, then you have to ask, how can we help that person to succeed within the company? And I think that's the responsibility of senior management.
Wilma, really nice insight, and we appreciate you coming on the show and sharing that with us today. Thank you for joining us. Dark Beauty, Wilma's company, celebrates women of color and their diversity. And for more information, you can visit thisisdrkbeauty.com.